there's not that much they're looking for when you would come before the court. Are you a defendant? Are you a person? Are you a man? What are you? There's very few things they're looking for.
Yep.
And they're waiting for you. They're waiting for the man to appear.
99% of what's going on is a show that's being put on that has almost absolutely no relevance of any kind to it, just to make you believe something is actually going on in that courtroom.
Yeah. That's because you're not leading up. You're not telling them. You're not informing them. You're not, telling them. It's like, hey, look, wait a second. Is the Dean Cliff the person whom this court seeks, or is it the man? Which one is it? It would have been over.
Well,
it would have been simple.
Even the word person is inclusive of a man. You want to find.
A person is a man.
Person, you might want to know what kind of a person you are.
Right, a person is a man within a society, and according to his rank or his status, he has certain duties and obligations to that society in which that society may impose.
Yes.
If he's derelict in his duty. Yes, a person is a man.
Person is any being capable of having rights and duties.
Right, but like I said, within a certain society. Now, is the legal society calling me forth? Is the Crown Society calling me forth? Ah, great. You know what? I'm not a person within your society. Yay, I get to go. I'm not a person within your Boy Scout society. You can't take away my merit badges. Why? Because I don't freaking got none.
Yep, so if people don't like the word person, fine. Just and actually, I suggest they don't use it anyway. Use the man, because there's no room for error. You can't.
Well, what I'm saying is, the Boy Scouts say I'm not a person within a Boy Scout society, so you can't take away you can't take away my merit badges. Yay, guess what? I'm not a legal person, so you can't take away my legal rights. Why? Because I don't have any freaking legal rights. Because I'm not a person within a legal society. Like I'm not a person of the Boy Scout society, so you can't take away my Boy Scout rights, I don't have none.
And I got into that with them, both not being a member of their democratic society, having nothing to do with their society. All that stuff is on the record. I got into all that stuff with them. It's ad nauseum garbage. I don't really give a shit about ever making those arguments ever again anymore now anyways. But they really don't like people figuring that. Yeah.
Well, the big thing is you've got to get them to understand when you first walk through that court, you're a man. And there's certain words that you could use that they can't use and they can't answer to.
Yep.
And they're stuck.
Yep. I'm here as a man. I'm present as a man. I will not plead into a fictional law. I am not illegal. I will not act for a legal person. All of that. All that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So,
but you're more than glad to answer to any other man.
Yep.
See, that's what like I said. It's just all. First, what you're saying is negative, 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 negative. But then you got to throw a positive. But I'm more than glad to answer to any wrong that's done to my fellow man. May that man appear at this time. I wish for that man to appear at this time.
What's coming up next? What's coming up next, Dean? Do you have a trial coming up, or what?
Well,
what do you have planned?
As of May 12th, I've got another pre-trial now, which will be 18 months into this deal. I have another pre-trial where the judge in the matter has given me 3 hours to come in and to basically give my facts and evidence to have the entire matter dismissed, which is where I think we're at right now, based on the notices that I put in that got me the bail pretty immediately. So I think what this all boils down to is they just wanted to lock me up in jail for a little while, and they were eventually going to let me out. I think they have a hope in hell of prosecuting, but it just get me in jail for a little while and to really scare people into wanting to try to make the same arguments when they go to court. So that's what I got planned. I'm going back to court on May 12th. As it stands right now, they still have a trial booked for 11 more outstanding charges. I think that's going to bring the total up to about 36 I've been up against in the last 20 months or the last 2 years. And again, so I don't expect it's going to make it to trial, and I really don't. Yeah, I'm just boy, there's so much to talk about. Where to even start with all this? So that's where things are at. Like I said, there's 11 charges left of the original 26. They've added a few. They've lost pretty much every single one of them, including in Brandon, and that's probably what Karl would find most interesting is the 2 charges they had me up against in Brandon, Manitoba for uttering threats apparently over the jail phones while I was in prison that time. They couldn't identify the accused in the courtroom, so they had to discharge everything because the Crown failed to actually identify the accused, even though I was sitting there the entire time. Apparently they couldn't identify me because the accused was a legal person and they had a man standing in the courtroom. So they couldn't link the two together, and they had to dismiss everything. But they tried to make it sound like there was some kind of a failure in the Crown's case against me, and because it's just preposterous, the stuff they had to get onto the record to make it look like there was some failure in the Crown's case, in the Crown's prosecution of the case. Whereas if you're a man and they're coming after a legal person, well, those are two completely separate things. They can't prosecute you. They can't convict you. They can't find you guilty. They can't give you a fine. They can't give you jail time. They can't do anything. They can't create the joinder necessary to give you the sentence. This is no different than what happened in Brandon all those years ago when there was 11 charges back then that I beat. And well, I beat them, but because they convicted me guilty on every single count and then discharged everything immediately on the spot. And I walked out without paying even $1 in fines for stuff that should have seen me in jail for 2 years. And they did that just to protect the record and just to say, oh no, look, he was still convicted, but we discharged everything on the spot so that it doesn't even show up on the records anymore. There's no records of that entire hearing ever having happened. So they're still doing what they can to try to protect their little scam, their little con they got going on, and not making it look as though we're actually winning at this stuff. So they're trying to keep the transcripts still to show that this system has legitimacy. And what do I have planned? Well, I don't know. I'm tired. I've been on about 20 shows since I've been out in the last month. Every night or every second night, I've been doing an interview here lately. I'm certainly not out of the game, and I'm certainly not going to become reclusive and hide. And I'm not scared of these people. And they didn't mess me up after 16 months of jail. I'm not scared, and I'm back, and I'm bigger and better than ever before. And with people like Karl and everybody else that I'm talking to around the world right now, we're just all getting bigger and better and growing as a movement and being more public and getting out there and showing people that they shouldn't have the fear that they have. And I'm happy to say that after 16 months, I think this movement, the truth movement, is bigger and better than it ever has been ever before. So I'm happy to be back out and a part of it, and I think people are going to see some fantastic things coming.
Good. I'm glad you're out. I'm so happy with what's going on in the world, the waking up that's taking place. I hope it hurries up and gets to that critical mass point so we can make changes. So you said your trial is when?
Well, they've got something scheduled for June, so a few months from now. And I think that after this, if anything, if I can't get this all discharged at the pretrial coming up on May 12th, I'm going to have that pushed off because there's even according to their own laws, it's impossible for me to have a fair trial at this point when they kept me locked up for 16 months. And I simply brought that up in my bail hearing too, where I said, if you guys actually want to have a fair hearing, I hope you're prepared to throw the Crown Attorney in jail for the next 16 months to prepare their case, because if you don't, we don't have a fair trial, and I'm just going to go for a miscarriage of justice on the spot. Mm-hmm. So they didn't seem to like that a whole lot either. It's impossible to have a fair trial when they lock you up in prison for 16 months and try to get you to defend yourself against a team of lawyers who are not locked up in prison. I can't think of anything more unfair, in fact. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just have that trial pushed off for 16 months and just deal with it in the meantime and just have some more hearings. And I got some prosecutions planned against them. I actually tried from in prison. I actually had a couple of private prosecutions filed. Court dates were set. They brought me in for 3 different court dates, but without the facilities to be able to prepare anything, I just wasn't able to do anything in the courtroom. I just said I stayed my own prosecution until I got out and I could actually pursue things.
Well, Dean, let me give you a little hint here with something that you just said about miscarriage of justice, right? You remember when you just said something about miscarriage of justice?
Yep.
Okay, that's a term of art. Okay, so it's what you're doing by turning back to them a term of art. You're showing that there's joined, that there is some sort of a meeting of the minds between you and the legal society. What I recommend that people do is, I said, not only do I believe that it would be unfair and unjust, I believe your legal society would call it a miscarriage of justice. See, you're separating yourself. You say, I would believe, because only man has the capacity to believe, that your legal society would refer to it as miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, that's what people call it.
Right, that's not what normal people would call it. People would just say, that's not fair, that's not just. The legal society would call it a miscarriage of justice. 99% of the people would not know what miscarriage of justice means. Miscarriage, what does that mean? I don't know. Well, but they would definitely know that's not fair. That's not just.
It's most certainly a very important word, and that's why it's the first 4 letters of the word justice. So,
well, what I'm trying to say is you're speaking like a lawyer. You're speaking like an attorney. You're showing that there is cognizance. There is an understanding. You do have some sort of knowledge of legal. So I'm just trying to explain to people what the judge in England said to the man. If you want to play the common law game, use 1-syllable words. Talk very simply. Just say that would not be fair. That would not be just. Not only do I believe that would be not fair, but I believe that within the legal society, it would be deemed a miscarriage of justice.
Yep.
Because deemed is a huge word too. So if you go look at the word deemed, you see what I just said.
You know how hard it is for and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, Karl. It's actually hard to dumb yourself down. It's actually the hardest thing there is to do.
It took me years. It took me years to dumb down. Years. It's an art, dude. It's a freaking art to dumb down. I mean, that's why I said I'm German.
15 years, and you're just used to using bigger words when you speak, just normally as it is now. Anyways, it's actually tougher to dumb yourself down and go right back to just using simple words.
Right. Well, like I said, I'm very fortunate. I'm from the German culture, so we minimize everything. We try to mini everything. So it's like, can we do it in 3 moves instead of 4? Can we? We'll spend a lifetime just learning how to minimize it, just to make it quick and faster and easier. It took us a whole freaking life to do it, but for the next guy who comes behind us, hopefully they'll be able to just get through this in 2 seconds and get on to something more important.
Yep. I completely agree with that. It's the better results I got was from just sending less and less birds in on smaller and smaller notices every single time.
Oh, yeah, because I said that to your brother. It was funny. He said, well, look what happened to Dean. He put something with line paper, and the court wouldn't accept line paper. So then they wanted us to put blank paper, and so my brother had to run around and find blank paper, and he couldn't get blank paper. I said, you know what would be super funny, because this is as it was happening. I said, what happened if your brother put blank paper into the stuff? And he wrote his notices or wrote his motions in blank paper. And the judge said, no, line paper isn't acceptable if it's horizontal. We want line paper that's vertical. I said, they're just going to mess with you, brother. If he could do it on horizontal paper, he could do it on blank paper, and he comes in with blank paper now with no lines. Now they say, no, we want – no, you misunderstood us. It's not that we didn't want line paper. We just didn't want horizontally line paper. We wanted vertical. And then the next thing, you're going to do vertical paper. You're going to chase down that stupid rabbit hole. And they're going to say, no, we want it like the Jewish way. We want it right to left instead of left to right. Your brother's – he's just got to write it right to left.
How much they were messing around with us. They knew I was in jail. They know I can't do anything. And they knew that when I finally was able to get my stuff out for somebody to take to the courthouse and file it, all the clerks had to do is say, no, we're not accepting this. And what do you do? You can't. We've caused such a shitstorm down there. We even had people go to the Attorney General's office here in Manitoba and say, what the fuck is going on at your courthouse? These clerks are absolutely obstructing. They're not taking our paperwork at all. We got a guy sitting in jail who they will not accept his paperwork from. We can't get a hearing. We can't do anything, so he's just sitting there. Like, is that the whole point of what you guys are doing? Is that the message you're sending us? You just want him to sit there for a while? Because it was all complete shit.
I got an interesting question for you. Did you try to ever send anything through the mail, and then they interfered with the ability for the mail to be processed?
Yep. We had registered mail returned, opened, and resealed.
So, but they didn't interfere with the mail process actually going from point A to point B?
Not that I'm aware of, other than it being
it was just the people on the other side rejected it, but the mail process went through.
Mail process, as far as we know, went through.
Okay, that's one question. I was wondering if they actually interfered with the mailing process, but it's just the other side didn't accept it at that time. Okay.
Well, yeah, but you can't not accept registered mail. You sign for the registered mail. They open it, they see what's in it, then they seal it back up and return it. Like that's.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's just like I said. It's to me, it was like, okay, he thinks this is, like say you send somebody a gift registered. It's like, you know what? I just can't accept. You sent me, 3 elephants, and I just don't have the facilities to maintain 3 elephants on my property, so I'm going to have to return them, even though you sent them registered, and it's a lovely gift.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I could see them return things.
Court will be accepting our paperwork, and they denied you complete effective access to justice and to remedy a law when they start doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like I said, did you ever open up the Clifford Court?
Well, that's another matter altogether. I have not gotten into a lot of that kind of stuff yet.
Okay, well, that's what Jesse had to do to get her 4 kids back. She had to open up the Jesse Court. She had to open up the Arsenal Court.
Yeah.
And it was funny. Like I said, when she went down there, she explained on like a Thursday show I had. And I do just on a Saturday, but she goes on and she says, She said it was wild. She said the clerk told the head court clerk went and got the judge. He said the judge has always been treating us like crap for the last 5 months. And then, but the judge brings us into his chambers, and he tells the clerk to go get us lemonade, and he was really nice to us. And he said, look, we just don't appreciate that you calling it the Arsenal Court. This is the court that you're in is called Queen's Bench, and this is how we refer to it around here. Everybody here knows it's Queen's Bench, not your court. And then he also said to them, he said, look, if can you do us a favor? They said, and this was funny because it came from Canada. The judge said, can you get rid of this word property, and can you put children in? Because, Lincoln freed the slaves, and what does American history slaves have to do with property and children is beyond me. But he said the judge made a real like sourpuss face and said, we really, it's not funny, it's not cute that you call children property, so can we bring this back to children? And it was funny, she called me up on the phone at like 3:30 in the afternoon. And she says, oh, wow, Colin, we got to meet the head judge, and you should have seen these court clerks running around like crazy, and it was just these 2 sentences. Oh, my God, and it was so much fun, and we got to have lemonade with the judge. And I said, then what happened? He said, well, all they asked was to change it from children to property. And I said, what'd you do? So I changed it. I said, I started cursing out like a drunk sailor. Get your effing ass, get changed. I said, if you don't do this, don't ever talk to me again. She says, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. She says, do you have how much fuel it costs us to go back down to St. John to do this? She says, it's like an hour and a half away. I said, you better hammer it and get down there. Don't you ever effing talk to me ever again. I said, don't try to outguess what I'm doing. Can you just put the way I wrote it? Can you just let it ride?
Well, the clerks went ahead and actually changed my paperwork. They changed.
They did HUS. They changed HUS, and I actually have it I have a copy of it on the internet where the clerk actually circled the words and crossed them out and put the recommendations of what they would accept.
Yeah, well, that's what they did to me, but it wasn't a recommendation. They just wrote in what they wanted.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So that's a trespass on the Arsenal Court. That's a trespass on the case.
Yep.
So you better believe we wrote a hell of a letter back, and we said we got proof that Susie just trespassed on my case, on my property, and we're going to hold Susie liable.
Yep.
Thank you, Susie. So like I said, they let the paperwork go in and they let it slide. But it was so funny when Jessie said that to me on the phone at 3:30. She said, I don't want to go all the way back, and the judge loved me now, and da-da-da. She said, fine, I'll just do it your damn way, fine. And she gave me a freaking attitude.
To get you to change that paperwork to say what they wanted to say.
Yeah, but it was funny. The lady I was helping, Jessie, gave me an attitude. She's like, no, we're finally getting along with the clerks, finally getting along with the judge. All we have to do is change the word from children to property to children, and now we're in. I was like, no, they're going to kill you. They're going to crucify out your friends. I am effing telling you. You better leave that paperwork the way I put it. I'm telling you, they have jurisdiction and control over children. They don't have jurisdiction and control over property. Only man does.
Yeah, because then they can operate in the presumption that you mean child under a certain act or statute where it's clearly defined as.
Right. So I said, I said it was required immediate return of property. See Exhibit A, B, C, D, and put 4 photographs. Has anybody seen my property? Return it immediately.
Yep.
That's it. No children, nothing Susie, Bobby, Billy. No, it's none of their damn business. That's your names that you gave your kids, and you don't give your name away to anybody, especially your children. So it was a lot of fun. But like I said, if you can, I know you have to dumb down. I know it's tough, but you're a smart guy. I know you're a smart guy, but you got to dumb it down.
Isn't it interesting that whenever you ask them a question, they'll tell you they can't give you legal advice, but when you do something right, all of a sudden they're just full of legal advice, and they'll tell you exactly what to do and what's right here and how to change this.
But what I'm saying, if you break down words from miscarriage of justice, the simple words, you'll like me. I've got letters from Japan. It's ridiculous. Guy rolled it up. He put rope around it. He sealed it with wax. I gave it to Gus. I said, Gus, can you read this? I said, I can't read it. He said, I can't read it either. But like I said, I must talk in such a simple level that even a man who's writing to me from Japan telling me he loves what I do, and he draws pictures of the diagrams I put on my show, the pyramids and stuff like that, and he's getting it. But he barely speaks English. You can see he's barely literate in English. But I'm not using legalese words. So people are actually getting this over in Malaysia, Japan, because I'm drawing pictures and I'm using very, very simple English words. And that gets the communication across a lot quicker, because a lot of people that listen to you, listen to me, are very learned. They've been studying the law for many, many years. They're probably better than 90% of the attorneys who appear in courts against them. But that's not a big crowd. That's not 90% of Canada. That's not, 90% of the United States is. It's not, So to me, I've seen that it seems to work no matter where I go. If you look at my website, you can't believe the people who show up my show there. Black, white, gay, old, Indians, it's ridiculous, the people who show up my show. It's not free men, it's not white guys.
And every time they're trying to get you to change what you're saying, or they're just ignoring you and they're continuing on. Big on this as well, I know, is they getting it on the record 3 times when you're saying stuff 3 times. And people should know that even this goes back to the law merchants and the courts, where the first time is considered a mistake, the second time is considered a coincidence, and by the third time you're saying something, it's a pattern. It means you mean it. It's not a mistake. It wasn't a coincidence. Oh, he really means it this time. Third time he said it, bro. Yep.
Well, how I know that it's true is because my sister asked my family to give her $20,000 for a retaining fee, and you didn't do anything wrong. So you don't just go to court. And I said, the judge is going to ask you, they're going to introduce everybody. They're going to introduce the moving party, which is then the ex-husband. I said, and all you do is, I said, you make a very simple, exhibit of everything that he's done wrong to you over the years, but your claim is going to be very simple. Now, when you introduce yourself to the court, I said, all you say is, I, Karen, her last name, and now present in court. I lie my case before the court. And the judge is going to say, who's my attorney? And I said, just say, I, Karen, her last name, I'm now present in court. I lie my case before the court. And the judge said, well, this is going to be very complicated in my last months, and, are you sure you're not seeking legal counsel because your husband over here has got, 3 attorneys? And he said, I, Karen Garner, I'm now present in court. I lie my case before the court. And the judge said, duly noted. And that was it. The judge said, duly noted. So she moved her claim before the court, said what he did wrong. And as soon as the attorney for the other side, they said, now, you're done with your case? Yes. Okay, now, for the other side. The other side, the woman stood up. And my sister said, I object. And the judge was like, wait a second. You presented your case to court. They can't present theirs? And my sister said, does that woman unless my husband had a sex change, is like, that sounds like a woman. It's like, yeah, that's the attorney. She introduced herself in the beginning. It's like, yeah. Does she have any firsthand knowledge of anything that she's going to testify today in court? Does she have any firsthand knowledge of any transaction that, transpired over the 20-year relationship between I and that man? And the judge said, that's a very good question. Let's ask. So do you have any firsthand knowledge of any transaction that transpired over the 20-year relationship between that man and a woman? She said no. The judge said, well, then sit down. And then the attorney said, but, Your Honor. And the judge said, now sit down and shut up. So, yeah, this 3-thing thing is true.
Yep.
But the judge asked the 3 points.
That's another excellent point about the fact these people don't have first-hand knowledge of anything, and we never object to that. We never ask them about that. Excuse me, do you have any first-hand knowledge of anything that you've claimed in this court? Anything that you've said in this court? Anything you brought to this court? Do you have any first-hand knowledge of it? And they don't. That's all you have to ask.
So then judge would not be deemed hearsay and speculation, which would not make itself available for appellate review. And the judge would have to say, he's right.
Yep. And I don't see a particular problem with using the word hearsay. I don't think that that's an issue.
Yeah, it's not.
Legalese issue.
Yeah, most people know what the word hearsay means in the United States. Most people know what that means. It's not a term of art that most people will understand. It's like, you know what hearsay means? So speculation and conjecture. You know what that word means? You're like, yeah, most people would know.
But if you have no problem with these people just continuing to spew a bunch of hearsay, then the court can't do anything until you're the one that objects to it.
Right. If you're not objecting, they're just going to keep going. Why not? Let's keep playing the game.
You must be okay with it. And if you're okay with it, then the court has to be okay with it.
Right. It's billable hours, and if you don't know the rules, it's your fault for coming into a game that you don't know the rules.
Yep.
Instead of just walking into
the chains, but that's not matter altogether.
Instead of just walking into the court since day one and just saying, I'm an idiot. An idiot, like I said, is a Greek word that just says outside stranger, somebody who has no qualifications within a certain profession. That's all. It has absolutely nothing to do with competency when it comes to general knowledge like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It has, I don't have any terms of art of like a brain surgeon. Like I say to people all the time, I said if I'm a brain surgeon, and if I hear two brain surgeons opening up my head and they say, give me the Massey, and the Massey is like the #1 driver in golf. It's a big wood. Hand me the Massey. If they'll say, this guy's going to hit me in the head with a golf club. And I'll start freaking out. Say, you going to hit me in the head with a golf club? It's like, no, we just call it this little tiny hammer, but it happens to be the biggest hammer. We call it the Massey. We call it we call it the driver, the Massey. It's like, oh, geez, I thought you were going to smash my head with a golf club. So we're just confused because they're using terms of art in which we're not competent. So we're complete idiots. So you know what? Why don't you just leave the brain surgeons alone? Stay away from the brain surgeons. Let them play their game. Let them do what they got to do. They're very good at it. But I'm a man. Just sit back and let them do their thing.
Same words, different meanings. The same words we use have different meanings in the jurisdiction trying to get us to come in. So they assume that we're using the definition of the word that they are using because we don't understand the context.
Right. What society you're in, and what society you're in uses different languages in terms of art. And, so like I said, it's what personage, where are you from?
Well, just the fact that you've been charged with something or you're there under some charge that falls under an act or statute is enough to presume you're a member of that society, and that's why that has to be rebutted.
Right. Well, like I said, or like the man I did over in the man in Quebec who got all his birds back, millions of dollars worth of illegal birds back, just by saying, okay, you know what? I totally accept the fact that within your society, I've done something wrong. Yeah, great. You know what? That's fine. But you know what? I'm a man and I require my property back. So Boy Scouts, it's nice that you found me, that I did something wrong in your little Boy Scout jamboree thing. The only problem is I still want my property back.
Yep, that was brought up at one of my bail hearings almost a year before I got out, about 9 months before I got out, I think, on bail finally, where one of the lawyers for Her Majesty there actually said that they're opposed to Mr. Clifford being released back into society. And I stood up and said, no. I do not want to be released into your society. I am not a part of your society in the first place. I don't want to be released into your society. I just want to go right now. I want nothing to do with your society. So that's how they try to portray all that in the courtroom. Oh, he can't be released back into our society. Okay, good. I don't want to be in your fucking society. Good.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the same thing happened over in England. It was funny. I was running the court, for on the common law side, and the Crown obviously was running, the Crown Court on their side. And it was so funny. The judge made a very simple, everyday, normal statement that you would hear in an open court. When it was our turn to go, the judge said to our side, "Do you want me to call your witness on a stand?" And I was always supposed to speak slowly so the Punjabi man could actually put the words into the court. I was supposed to whisper in his ear, but the Punjabi said yes. And I jumped up and I said, no, I require, I said, I want of no man, because want means for a beggar. Like, yes, mommy, I want a lollipop. Mommy can deny you. So the judge said, do you want me to place your witness on a stand? And he said, yes. I said, no, I want of no man. I said, God provides all. We require of you to not be derelict in your duty. Perform your function that you've been presented to this court. Place my witness on a stand. Recuse yourself, and I will place my witness on a stand. So the judge said, witness, take the stand. But it's certain words that they use that they could deny you. Because I said, do you want what, bake? You think you're my mommy? You think you have some sort of right to tell me no?
Yep.
This is my case. This is my trial. I don't want, no. I require of you, because require means by authority and by right. No, I require of you to place my witness on the stand. Do your job. Do your function to this court. Provide the service in which you're employed. Or recuse yourself, and I'll get somebody else in here. I'll place my witness on the stand.
The authority flows from you.
Right. I don't want nothing from you. But see, that's what's funny. People weren't taught by their mom and dad simple words like want. You don't want nothing from no man. Like my dad would say that to me all the time. You don't want nothing from any man. God provides all. You provide for it. But if somebody gives you something, you got to get. Now you're in debt to this guy.
Well, it's like people that are asking for their property back by saying, I would like to be released, or I would like my property back. We'd all like all sorts of things.
Right. Yeah, I like sunshines and rainbows too, but that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, but a requirement is a command.
Right, it's by authority and by right. See, because judges don't have rights. They have duties, obligations, and responsibilities. They don't have rights. Once they put on that cloak, their rights stand out the door until they put on their man costume. And like I say to people, a judge is a man, 168 hours a week. Every single day, he is a man. He only acts part-time as a judge, maybe 40 hours a week. He's a part-time judge, but he's always a man. He always has a duty and obligation to cause no harm to his fellow man. But if you don't present the man to the judge, he has no duty and obligation to a defendant. His duty not just to a defendant is to help beat the snot out of him.
Yep.
Defendants curl up in a ball and take a beating.
Yep.
Defendants don't prosecute.
If you're okay with being recognized as the class of person that you've been brought there as, then you're sunk. You have no rights.
That's right, and which is what you should. Like I said, because why would you want street thugs to just be walking? You know, if it was that easy, why would you just want everybody just be walking out of the courtroom thinking this is funny? I'm going to go punch another guy in the nose. I'm going to go into court and say, "Forgive me as I trespass, thy brother. Hand me thy debt." Oh, $9,000 for a broken nose? I'll gladly pay you $1 a year for the next 9,000 years. Why would you want some street thugs to know this nonsense, to know this stuff? Why? I wouldn't. I don't want just the common, person to know this. I want a man to know this. I want people who are worthy of this knowledge to know it. I don't want everybody on planet Earth to say, "Wow, is that all we have to do? Be like Jesus and just, we could slaughter people," and they're just going to say, "Okay, I forgive you. Turn the other cheek." No, because people are going to take advantage of that.
All it has to take is for an actual man to show up in court and bring a proper claim. So,
yeah, but that's good. I'm glad that the judge. I'm glad that the judge up there. I'm trying to say, I'm glad that the judge up there that acts as a barrier between pretender mans, like all these 150 people who were denied their claim before the court. Then I'm glad there's a man or a woman there that denies the claims. What purport to be a man. I want to see a real man. I want to see you handle denials. I want to see how you're going to stand up and act like a man.
Well, that's all that people have to realize is that you are seen to be wearing a legal cloak, no different than the cloak the judge is wearing. When you're in that courtroom, so you take it off and say, "No, I'm not wearing a legal cloak. I am just a man." There is no cloak covering up what I am.